Today, we are cracking open the first chapter of the hugely influential book, Nudge. We're going to uncover some of the hidden glitches in our own thinking. You know, the predictable ways our minds get fooled all the time. All right, let's kick things off with a little test for your brain. Now, don't think too hard about this. Just look at these two tables. Which one seems longer and narrower to you? Just go with your gut.
So, if you're like pretty much everyone else, your brain probably made up its mind in a split second. You're probably thinking, easy, the one on the left is long and skinny, and the one on the right is short and wide. I mean, it seems totally obvious, doesn't it?
Okay, but what if I told you that that obvious answer is completely wrong? And not just wrong, but wrong in a way that's super predictable. The crazy truth is, the tops of those two tables are identical. Same size, same shape. Just look at this. The second we get rid of the legs and the orientation, all those distracting visual cues, the illusion just evaporates. And there it is. They're exactly the same. This little trick is a perfect way to kick off our discussion because it gets right to the heart of the matter, that gap between what our brain tells us is true and what's actually true. So the big question is, why did our brains get fooled so easily? Well, to figure that out, we've got to meet the two competing systems of thinking that are always running inside your head. First, you've got what's called the automatic system. Think of this as your gut reaction. It's fast, it's instinctive, you know, that lizard brain part of you. It's what makes you duck when a ball flies at your head or smile when you see a puppy. It just happens, no effort required.
And then on the other side, you have the reflective system. This is your conscious, deliberate thinking. It's slow, it's methodical, and boy, does it take effort. This is the system you have to boot up when you're trying to solve a tough math problem or figure out the best route for a road trip.
And when you see them laid out side by side like this, you realize they're total opposites, right? Uncontrolled versus controlled, fast versus slow. And this is where things get really interesting, because all those little biases and blunders we make, they happen right in that gap between the two, usually when we let our fast automatic brain handle a job that really needs the slow, reflective one.
Okay, so let's see this tension in action. I've got another little brain teaser for you, and this one is a classic for pitting these two systems against each other.
Ready? Remember, don't think too hard. Just blurt out the first answer that comes to mind.
Okay, I'm gonna guess an answer just leaped into your head. 10 cents. It feels right, doesn't it? It's simple, it's elegant, and it's totally wrong. It's a perfect little trap, and your automatic system just walked right into it.
See, to get the right answer, you have to consciously slow down. Engage that reflective system. Let's do the math. If the ball is 5 cents, then the bat, which is $1 more, is $1.05. Add them together, and you get $1.10. Your fast brain jumps the gun, but your slow brain, if you give it a moment, can actually figure it out.
This bat and ball thing is a fantastic example of something our brains do all the time. We take mental shortcuts. Psychologists have a fancy word for them, heuristics. And look, most of the time they're super helpful, but they can also lead us into these predictable mistakes or biases. Let's check out 3 of the most common ones. So first up, we've got anchoring. This is where our brains grab onto the very first piece of information we hear and then have a really hard time letting it go. It's why, when a charity suggests donation options like $100, $250, or $1,000, they get way more money than if they started with a lower anchor like $50. Okay, next is the availability heuristic. This one's simple. If you can think of an example of something easily, your brain assumes it must happen a lot. So we're more scared of things like homicides because they're all over the news. They're super vivid. But statistically, you're more likely to be harmed by something less dramatic, like suicide, which just doesn't get the same kind of attention.
And the third big one is representativeness. This is all about our brain's obsession with patterns. We see something, and we immediately try to match it to a stereotype or a pattern we already have in our head. And this is the one that gets us into real trouble with randomness, because we see patterns where there's, well, nothing.
Let's look at a really powerful real-world example. This is a map of where German V1 bombs fell on London during World War II. Now, if you were living there at the time, you'd look at this map and your brain would immediately start connecting the dots. It looks like there are clusters, right? Like they were targeting specific neighborhoods or factories.
But here's the kicker. After the war, statisticians crunched the numbers, and they found the pattern was completely random. There was no pattern at all. It's an incredible illustration of how our brain is basically a pattern-seeking missile. It's so desperate to find meaning that it will literally invent it out of thin air. So, because our brains have these little glitches, these biases, it means that the way a choice is presented to us, or framed, can make a huge, huge difference in what we decide to do.
Think about it this way. Imagine a doctor tells you that a surgery has a 90% survival rate. Sounds pretty good, right? Now, what if that same doctor said, of 100 patients who have this surgery, 10 are dead after 5 years? Whoa, it's the exact same fact, but framing it in terms of loss makes it feel way scarier. That's your automatic system freaking out.
Okay, so this isn't just about fun little brain games. Understanding these mental glitches is really important because this stuff is being used to influence you and me every single day, for better and for worse.
But let's start with an example of how this can be used for good. Take a look at this. This is a really dangerous curve on Chicago's Lakeshore Drive. For years, people just drove way too fast through here and there were a ton of accidents. The city had a real problem on its hands.
So what did they do? Their solution was genius. They just painted these white lines on the pavement. But here's the trick. As you drive into the curve, the lines get closer and closer together. And what does that do? It creates this powerful visual illusion that you're speeding up, that you're going way too fast. It speaks directly to your automatic system.
And what's your automatic reaction when you feel like you're losing control and accelerating into a curve? You hit the brakes. It's pure instinct. So without any signs, without any speed bumps, this simple visual trick gets people to slow down, making the road way, way safer.
And that right there is a perfect example of a nudge. It's not a rule, it's not a law, it's just a small, clever feature of the environment that gently nudges your automatic brain to make a better choice without you even really thinking about it. So here's the big takeaway from all of this. Our minds aren't perfect logical machines. They have these predictable glitches that make us easy to influence. We are being nudged constantly, every day, by companies, by governments, by all sorts of people. So the real question to leave you with is, now that you know the trick, will you start to notice all the nudges happening around you?